5, and we were live at about 6:05 in the morning. Anyway, I just want to say good morning to everybody, and talk about the changing of the name of the channel and stuff like that. Well, changing the name of the channel is simple. Just messing around, trying to figure out what was good. The tragic, not tragic, but like the thing that I did was I had the name Mr. T. Now, that's a 3-letter name. It's not easy to get a 3-letter name, and I did not really think about it at the time. Only after I changed the name to, I think, eviscerated psychology or something like that. Or some other, hold on a second, let me tie my shoe. Oh, what do you hop? Yeah, so I had the name Mr. T, and the reason I had the name Mr. T was for the our tortoise. The tortoise that lives with us is an African spurred tortoise, also known as a sulcata tortoise. And he's getting bigger and bigger, and he'll probably live another 80 years. Anyway, so initially the channel was basically like my idea was to dedicate the channel to the tortoise, right? But then after filming the tortoise, Mr. T and stuff like that, like there's not a whole lot of things that tortoises do. They're not the most active creatures, and they are quite amazing and wonderful to look at, and they have a weird body and a weird shell. I mean, they carry their house on their back, and, they're just weird looking creatures, to me at least. They've been around 80 million years in this present form of tortoise. So like there are three the Sahel not the Sahel Sulcata tortoise, which is from the Sahel region in Africa, which is like that northern not all the way north, but like the northern band across Africa, which goes from east to west Africa, running along like the countries of Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso, and that band of area. Anyway, those are the third largest tortoises in the world. Next to the second largest would be the Aldabra tortoise, and that's in the Seychelles. You can also call it the Seychelles tortoise, and they get actually quite a bit bigger than the sulcata tortoise. And then the number one largest tortoise in the world is the Galapagos tortoise, and probably the most famous tortoise, simply because they are so large and so huge, and they live for hundreds of years. When I say hundreds, I don't mean 300. They can live to over 200 years. So that's like pretty amazing. I think like the oldest one we knew about or we had documented was that tortoise named Jonathan, who I think passed away recently. Anyway, I think he was 203 years old or something like that. I don't know. I would check that out if I were you. If you want to know what the facts are, the exact dates. But yeah, so that's why I changed the name of the channel to Mr. T. But then I started thinking, well, if I'm ever going to make any videos that are kind of interesting, I mean, I have this whole canvas in front of me, and my canvas is I live in northern Thailand. And I'm one of the only Westerners that live over here, which has its good and bad points. But the area itself is really amazing as far as nature goes. There's a lot of nature, farmland, mountain ranges and valleys and stuff like that. So we don't really live in a city. We live in basically a delta. I wouldn't say a delta. A delta would be closer to the ocean, but in between two mountain ranges. Hello. Two mountain ranges, which causes a lot of water to flow off of those mountain ranges and into this valley area, and so it's very rich in silt, like rich in minerals and stuff like that, and it's very good for farming, and hence there are fantastic rice farms around here, among other kinds of farms. There's like all sorts of vegetables being grown up here, and so it's pretty important as far as like the feeding the nation and exporting to other countries from the produce that's grown here. And there's also some animal farms, like chicken farms would be probably the largest kind of farms. I have been to one, and in that side of that farm, the guy who had the farm had a contract with a large chicken company, so he had thousands of chickens in a hangar. Didn't like this very much at all, and then there was sort of I would say it looked to me like only like maybe a foot and a half by a foot and a half wire box, and inside each wire box 3 chickens were there, and they would spend their whole life there, and they would lay eggs, and the eggs would roll off into the conveyor belt and then roll off. The living conditions to me were pretty appalling. Hold on a second here. We got something new over here we haven't seen when we're going on this path. And it looks to me like somebody's going to build a house here. That's what it looks like to me. So I don't think much was being done with this land before. They cleared up the land. Yeah, I think they're probably just going to build a house. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so when we went there, the reason we went to that chicken farm, I don't know if that's what you would call a CAFO, but I thought CAFO had to do with like beef or cattle. But anyway, industrial farming. I mean, it's really brutal, and once you see one, you might start challenging your beliefs in eating meat. That's for sure. But anyway, so we got ourselves 6 chickens from him, right? And they were Rhodesian. Not Rhodesian. They were called Rhode Island Reds. And what they basically are these kinds of chickens are bred for producing eggs. And I don't think they're bred so much for eating meat, because they're more valuable in laying eggs, I think. I don't know what the taste difference would be if you ate like Rhode Island red chicken breast versus another kind of chicken breast. But maybe there's a difference. I don't know. But that was interesting. So we had that for a while. So we had our chicken farm get up to about 20 chickens or so. But as far as like having chickens and making any money off of it, it was like non-existent. So we didn't need 20 chickens for our family of our sort of like our immediate like family. I guess you would say it was about 10 people or something like that. And we didn't need 20 chickens for that. So it's a lot of work. You have to keep maintaining their living conditions. You have to feed them, clean their living area, repair their coop that you have them in, And as it turned out, like towards the end of us having chickens, there were 2 wild dogs. And they're not like wild dogs in, say, like Europe or, like a wild dog running down the street or something like that. These dogs are genetically and biologically, they're more wild. If you see, I have actually a video up of it, of these dogs, the actual ones that that came and they just went in and it would like kill our chickens and not eat them, just kill them for fun, or I guess. I mean, maybe they thought it was fun. I don't know. And so that happened one night, and my wife and I went out in the middle of the night trying to save our chickens. Now, the thing is, if you ever had chickens, you kind of get like an emotional attachment to the chicken, because they have personalities, like one chicken might be more friendly than the next. And, and you can always appreciate the beauty of life and beauty of the chicken, if you see them every day. So these dogs coming, rampaging through our chicken coop, killing, I don't know, I think they killed about 8 chickens that night. My wife and I went out with a machete. I was gonna kill those dogs if I could. If I could have killed one of those dogs, I would have. But they're fast, we're humans. And, unfortunately, through our evolution, we sort of lost some of our speed. And it's no match for a dog, let alone a feral dog or a wild dog, that its very existence depends on being fast. So you're not going to, if that dog has any space to move or run or anything like that, bob and weave or whatever, it's going to do it. And you're not going to catch it, let alone hit it on the head with a machete. Machetes are heavy. They take time to swing. By the time, you got to the height of your arc of your swing with the machete, that dog is probably 10 feet away from you. So anyway, in a way, I'm kind of glad as it turns out, as the way it played out, I'm glad I didn't kill those dogs. I tried, but I'm glad I didn't, because that probably would have been on my conscience. I don't know. I'm not necessarily kind of like the killing type. But anyway, so there was that. And we had those chickens and stuff like that. But something tragic actually happened last night, which is kind of what I want to talk about. Good morning, Arun Sawat. What I want to talk about last night. I don't know if you guys have been watching the channel and seeing our videos of the puppies and stuff like that. Those puppies that we got. We got 2 puppies. They each weighed about a pound apiece when we got them, or half a kilogram. And they were brought to us by some kid who's, I don't know, parents probably told him to give them to us. But we got 2 of them. Their mother had been poisoned the day before and died. And these puppies would have died too if humans didn't come and take care of them, right? So we got 2 and we were taking care of them. Oh man, my wife and I and the whole family fell in love with them right away. And we started nursing them back, trying to nurse them into health, nurse them to get bigger. My wife took up the biggest role in that. She's a mother, her maternal instincts kicked in. She started getting them goat's milk to feed, getting them larger and larger and larger. This was about 2.5 months ago. And they got so big. And they got so big. Not so big, but they were about, I would say 25 pounds as of yesterday. Yeah, so I felt about like 25 pounds. And that's 2 months of growth, and they're going to grow they're supposed to grow another 7 months. About another 7 months. So maybe they would double in size. And for puppies, they were quite large. Anyway, so I'd make a lot of videos about them because they're just cute as buttons. They'll just watch them play. They're so innocent, and they're fully domesticated animal. They're not like those wild dogs. Those wild dogs had actually like longer ears and stuff like that. You could tell that they've actually bred more into wildness, but these puppies weren't. And their names are Mia and Maya. And I pretty much filmed them every single day. Yesterday I tried to upload a video. The last video I tried to upload of them was yesterday afternoon with them. They were play fighting in the bushes. And I tried to upload the video, and the comments, not the comment, the title of the video, I put like, puppies, wild puppies fighting. And I guess that triggered something in YouTube, because as soon as I tried to upload it with that title, it wouldn't upload. It was like blocked. And there's nothing going on in there. These puppies weren't fighting or anything like that, So there wasn't anything really going on. But, yeah, so that video got blocked. And then, let's see. I don't know, sort of doing my thing. Right now we're also filming the 77-year-old man who wants to lose weight. Weighs about 295 pounds now, maybe 290 now. And he's 77 years old. I've known him for 40 years. And he wants to exercise, which is great. And so I said, you know what? Let's document you losing weight and starting to exercise. Now, this is a guy who's 77 years old who 20 years ago got into a wheelchair, right? Once he got into a wheelchair, it was like all over for him. He didn't want to ever get out of the wheelchair. This is how people who are grossly overweight have these sort of like characteristic traits. And so he didn't want to ever get out of the wheelchair. He loved it. Oh, he could just scoot around everywhere and stuff like that. It was like, really cool to him, an electric wheelchair. So he spent basically the next 25 years in wheelchairs. So he's 77 now. So he was like 52 or something like that when he got in the wheelchair. And naturally, that was not a good thing for him. He became a lot less mobile. In fact, he would never walk anymore, and he would just go around in a wheelchair. And that was his thing. Well, now that he's 77 years old, hold on a second, look at these guys every morning. They like to make noise. Anyway, so now that he's 77, he had like an electric cart, but unfortunately for him, he's got cataracts and he can't see, glaucoma, cataracts, and he can't see very well. And even if he could see perfectly, he's a terrible driver. And people in the village were complaining about him, saying that he was almost running over their kids. And this is a guy who can barely see. Like a full Mr. Magoo type of driving around. And, we tried to take the electric cart away from him a number of times because he had accidents. He would we have videos of this too. He would like drive off the road into a ditch and it wouldn't be discovered for hours, and emergency services had to come with the highway patrol and ambulances and stuff like that. And, and there were multiple accidents that he had. And then finally, he crashed into, a guy on a motorcycle. And, he swears up and down it's not his fault and stuff like that. But it's very hard for him to defend from his position. Being a Westerner. That's the first off the bat type of thing. Having an accident with a Thai national, not a good thing. Okay, even though sometimes we have really nice Thai nationals when things like this happen, happen, just like this. And we actually ended up knowing this guy. But secondly is that, how do you defend yourself when you claim you can't see? You're blind. People have been complaining about you for years, about your driving, and going to my wife saying, you shouldn't let him drive. He's a danger to the people in the street. He's dangerous. He's, he's going to hit somebody someday, and God forbid he hits a child, and God forbid he hits a child, this should be all over for, not only for him, but he thinks about it only in terms of himself, but it would have been over for me as well, because I'm foreign, I'm connected to him. They think I'm his son, and God forbid he hurt badly or even killed a child with that cart, and he can't see. He's driving, he can't see. He has no excuse. So it would also be a black mark on my wife. So I could see a scenario where he crashed into a kid, killed a kid. I have to leave if I'm lucky. Maybe something bad would have happened to me. I don't know. Maybe something bad would have happened to him if he killed a kid. People are very bound to act emotionally when their children get hurt. So I don't know. If I would have been able to stay. I don't think I would have been able to stay in this town anymore. Let alone him. He wouldn't have been able to stay. Guaranteed, he wouldn't have been able to stay around this town anymore if he survived. That is, if he killed a kid, they probably would try to kill him. That's a fact. But he doesn't think about that. And when he crashed into the guy on the thing, on the road, he's thinking about himself. He's only thinking about, I lost my car. Because what happened was the police took away his electric cart. Now, this is after people in the village had made numerous complaints about it, and the police just had enough. And rather than give him a fine, which they could have given him a fine for like $500 for driving, because he'd been in so many accidents, his electric cart had so many things wrong with it. He doesn't have a license, which you supposedly need, but maybe you don't. I'm not sure. The laws are pretty lax around here. But when they do try to decide to enforce a rule or a law or a social law around here, they go all the way for it. They're not going to back down. And so this was the breaking point with him driving around, and the police confiscated his vehicle. He went to the hospital, and he's always blaming like the driver of the motorbike or whatever. But when you're in an accident, and there were witnesses to the accident who said it was his fault. Now, it was my friend's fault. Now, in his defense, I will say that he is a foreigner, so of course it's going to be his fault. You know what I mean? Most likely. You do have sometimes like some ties who are like grossly out of line or something like that, and their fellow ties will tell us, listen, this guy was out of line or something like that. But that wasn't in this case. It wasn't the situation. So he lost his cart, and he's like goes on and on, causing me to be stressed out because he keeps talking about it every now and then. Like, how unjust the world is, and justice was done against him and stuff like that, without ever even addressing the possibility that he was wrong, he shouldn't have been driving, or anything like that. So, that being said, they did confiscate his car. I'm happy they did, to be honest with you, because he would have hit somebody eventually even worse, or he would have died himself, which I don't want him to die. So, or get maimed, stuff like that. It's just not good. You don't have 77-year-old men who are half blind who can't drive, period, driving around, in a, if you include both their weights, we're talking about, 700 pounds. You don't have that. You can't have that, And, he'll never, I don't know, maybe if he hears this or something like that, sometimes he watches the stream and stuff like that, maybe he will, come to his senses and say, yeah, you know what, I really enjoyed driving. It was my freedom, but I understand. I can understand the point of view that the police and the villagers had, and you know what, I have to accept it now because that's just the way it is. Anyway, but this is something that bothers me because he'd been starting talking about that, it's like he whips out topics every now and then, like sort of like as a surprise, just to because he's wants some sort of emotional response or something like that, which I admit I'm not good at. I'm not really good at emotional responses. But anyway, I was sort of off on a tangent about that situation. So, yesterday I was filming the puppies. I was filming the tortoise. I was doing little things. Now I don't film, shorts and stuff like that to any great sort of like technological. Oh, hello, girl. You're a little kitten. What do you? Oh no. You're looking for your mommy. Oh, poor girl. Oh yeah, you're purring up a storm. I'm gonna guess that you belong here. You're not Oh boy. Your mommy's probably inside. Oh boy. Oh yeah, she's purring and purring. Oh, she's a youngin'. She or he? Let's see. It looks like a boy. He's purring. Listen, I love you, kitty, but we have 16, 17 cats already. Oh my God. All right. Listen, oh boy. This poor kid, this poor little thing has lost his family. Unless somebody does something, unless somebody takes in this kitty, he's not going to be doing too well. Okay, good. He ran off. All right, I'm going to run off. We just can't save every animal. We don't have the money for it, man, Oh. No, don't follow me. No, listen. Listen, buddy. I'm sorry. Why don't you just run away? Run away. Run. No, maybe your mommy and your mommy is over here? Get to your mommy. You're too young. And you're a boy, which is even worse. Because boys spray. I don't know. Let's hope he doesn't follow us anymore. I'm not going to look around. Because if I look around, then I'll see that he's following. Okay, thank goodness he's gone. Maybe he found his spot. and he's not going to run after us anymore, which is a good thing. I don't want to see that. So, hello. So, yeah, so that's done. What do you call it? So, hello, Luke. It's good to see them again. So anyway, so I didn't really get to like the whole point of not the whole point, but this is the really sad part of the story that I've been trying to get out there. So the day was going pretty well and everything like that, and I got time for me to go to sleep, and I was just, I don't know, maybe I was asleep for an hour, half hour, or something like that. My wife comes in, she tells me, come on, you got to see this. And I was trying to figure out, what could she possibly mean, or something like that, And she walked me down, followed me. I followed her down, and she shows me in the back of our pickup truck, Mia. And I know something's wrong, but I didn't know exactly what was wrong at this point. So I'm looking and I see a little bit of blood, and my wife then explains to me. She says that she went outside with like a screen door. This is a pretty common occurrence that we have. One of our cats climbs to the roofs, on top of the roof on a house across the street, and we use a screen door to help the cat climb down it. And you can see videos on that on the channel if you want. And the cat does eventually climb down. It's a pain. It's a nuisance, but it's a necessary nuisance to take the cat down. We can't stop her from going up unless we locked her up, which is inhumane, animalistic, or something like that. Anyway, so that's what she had gone out, and it was dark out at this time, and so she had opened up the front gate to our house and gone out with the screen door to help Mally the cat down. But unfortunately, she didn't close the door because her guard was down, and she was, she probably thought it was, at nighttime and there's nobody around or anything like that. And, there wouldn't be, she didn't feel like there would be any sort of sense of danger or anything like that. So she didn't close the door. And Mia had followed her outside. So, and she didn't know that, but Mia did follow her outside. And then what happened was some kid on a motorbike starts racing down the street. And I'm going to say that he intentionally did it. He hit Mia. Whether he saw him or not, I mean, I don't think we can ever prove that, or if it's necessary to prove that. But I've driven motorbikes tons of times. I've been drunk driving them, and in the past. And let me tell you something. I've never hit an animal. I've always seen the animals up ahead of me, and my eyesight is not as good as this kid's eyesight, who is probably 20 years old, maybe younger. So I'm just going to say that I think that he did it on purpose. There are a lot of dogs around. So like this, people on motorbikes hitting dogs is, with their feet or with the front of the car or even a motorcycle is pretty common. So he may not have known, or I mean, even if he had not known that this was a domesticated pet, like a pet that was like that it was a domesticated pet or whatever. That's what he did. He hit her, and sped off. After he hit her, my wife realized it because she heard the yelping from Mia, and she looked around and she tried to catch Mia, but Mia ran back towards the house, into the house, and where my wife did catch up to her, and then put her up in the bed of the pickup truck, and she was coughing blood, and I could hear it gurgling in her lungs, and I mean, I thought this is it for this, for Mia, I'm pretty sure this is going to be it. But my wife ended up calling a veterinary hospital or something like that, and they were still open, thank goodness. And we took Mia to the veterinarian hospital, and then shortly after we took her there, admitted her there, we left because there's nothing for us to do at this point. And we're not gonna, we could have stayed all night and shown emotional support, I suppose, but I'm not gonna do that. I mean, people don't even do it for their parents, so unfortunately, I did do it for my parents, and a lot of people do it for their parents, but I had to get to bed. I was exhausted. I was falling asleep at the place, whatever. But I was feeling very sick about it too, very, very emotionally sick in my stomach about what happened, because this was a really careless mistake, Howdy cop! As a really careless mistake in my opinion. Basically not, thinking. And then also the guy who drove, and I think probably hit her on purpose, is even worse. But so what ended up happening is that we ended up coming home. I fell right asleep, and I woke up a couple hours ago, looked a bit on YouTube, and basically, I don't know, was waiting for it to be time for me to do my exercises so I can better prepare for the day, because doing exercises, number one. I am also on a weight loss quest. At my height, I weigh like 260 pounds. I'm 6'2", and I carry it pretty well, they say. I don't know, but maybe there's just people being nice, You know how people are. Oh, you look fantastic. They don't tell you the truth. Anyway, so I'm on a weight loss quest myself, and now I am down to about 230 pounds. So I've lost about 30 pounds since I started the weight loss quest about a month and a half ago. I think it's about a month and a half since I started. And so that's, trying to get my weight down. Ideally, I'd like to be down at 190 or 185. That's like supposedly the best healthy weight as far as like what research I've done by asking doctors. Excuse me. And also on the internet, like Gemini and stuff like that. I think these are pretty decent sources of information for these kinds of things. So that's what, I did. That's where we're at. We're at 230 pounds right now. So basically, minimum I want to lose is 40 more pounds. The first 20, they say, is the easiest to lose, and then it's the last 20 that really are really tough. But once you get to that point, you've achieved that goal, maintaining it is easier than losing the weight. That's what I've heard. I don't know. Until I was 30 years old, I was like a 1%, 2% body fat guy. You know, I mean, I was like real thin. You know, and I told myself, I used to say when I was young, man, if I ever get that fat, you know, I'll just kill me. No, I wouldn't say that, but you know, if I ever get that fat, I'm just gonna be so disgusted with myself. You know, and then I ended up getting that fat, and certainly being overweight does wear down on you emotionally, psychologically, and stuff like that. So it's something that I will be happy when I get down to the weight that I am best suited biologically for, so to speak. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's my goal, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to do it. And I won't stop until it happens, because that is my goal. You know, you have to have some goals in life. If you have no goals in life, then you're living aimlessly. So, let's see, let's go, you know. I mean, how long is it going to take us to lose 40 more pounds? Don't know. But we'll keep at it and keep going at it until it happens. Well, the best that we can, to the best of our abilities. Anyway, thank you for listening to this dawn walk on Thursday, October 19th, Sunday, October 19th, in the year 2025. And wherever you are in this world, I hope you have a wonderful morning, noon, and night. So bless you all with whatever blessings there are available in this world and universe. And seriously hope to see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for tuning in to listen to me give that little update. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful. Bye-bye.